What happens when Hollywood's golden boy walks into what should be a friendly chat and finds himself facing the most disrespectful host on television? In just 37 seconds, one careless comment would expose Jimmy Kimmel's true colors and destroy his reputation forever. Michael B. Jordan walked onto that stage, expecting the usual celebrity treatment. You know, the kind where hosts actually respect their guests. But what he got instead was something nobody saw coming. The audience had no idea they were about to witness one of the most shocking meltdowns in talk show history. Picture this. The lights are bright, the crowd is cheering, and Michael walks out with that million-dollar smile we all love. He's wearing a sharp black suit, looking like the superstar he island. The audience goes wild. They adore this guy. And why wouldn't they? He's talented, he's humble, and he's never been in any drama before this night. Jimmy Kimmel is sitting behind his desk with that fake smile he always puts on. You can already tell something feels off. The way he's looking at Michael isn't friendly. It's like he's sizing him up for something bad. Michael sits down in the guest chair and waves to the crowd. They're still cheering. He looks genuinely happy to be there. This is supposed to be fun, right? Just two guys having a conversation about movies and life. Nothing complicated. But Jimmy starts talking, and right away you can hear it in his voice. There's this edge to it, this nastiness that he's trying to hide behind jokes. "So, Michael," Jimmy says, leaning back in his chair like he owns the world, "I have to ask you about something that's been bothering me." Already, that's weird. What kind of host starts an interview by talking about what's bothering them? Michael just smiles and nods, being polite like he always island. "You've been in a lot of action movies lately," Jimmy continues, "and I keep wondering, do you actually do any of the stunts yourself? Or do you just stand around looking pretty while other people do the real work?" The audience gets quiet. That wasn't a normal question. That was an insult disguised as a question. Michael's smile falters for just a second, but he handles it like a pro. "Well, Jimmy," Michael says calmly, "I actually do a lot of my own stunts. I train really hard for these roles. It's important to me to give the audience something real." But Jimmy isn't done. He's just getting started. "Really?" Jimmy says with this sarcastic tone. "Because from what I hear, you spend more time in makeup than you do actually acting. Is that true?" Now the audience is starting to look uncomfortable. Some people are shifting in their seats. This isn't how interviews are supposed to go. Michael is still trying to be professional, but you can see he's getting frustrated. "I'm not sure where you're hearing that," Michael says, and his voice is a little tighter now. "I take my craft very seriously. I work with some of the best directors in Hollywood, and they wouldn't hire me if I wasn't doing the work." Jimmy laughs, but it's not a nice laugh. It's mean and mocking. "Oh, come on," Jimmy says, waving his hand dismissively. "Let's be honest here. You got famous for being good-looking, not for being a great actor. Isn't that right?" The studio goes dead silent. Even the camera crew looks shocked. This is live television, and Jimmy Kimmel just insulted one of Hollywood's biggest stars to his face. Michael's jaw tightens, and for the first time, he looks genuinely angry. "That's pretty disrespectful," Michael says, and his voice is calm, but there's steel in it. "I've been acting since I was a kid. I've worked my way up from small roles to where I am now. It wasn't because of my looks." But Jimmy is on a roll now. He's like a bully who smells blood in the water. Sure, Jimmy says mockingly. "But let's talk about your personal life. Word is, you're pretty difficult to work with behind the scenes. Care to comment on that?" Michael stands up. The audience gasps. Nobody expected this. He's not yelling or making a scene, but you can tell he's had enough. "Where exactly are you getting this information?" Michael asks. And now his voice is getting louder. "Because none of that is true, and you know it." Jimmy grins like he's enjoying this, like he planned for this exact moment. "Oh, I have my sources," Jimmy says smugly. "Hollywood's a small town, Michael. People talk." That's when Michael realizes what's happening. This isn't an interview gone wrong. This is an ambush. Jimmy planned this whole thing. He wanted to humiliate Michael on live television for some twisted reason. "You know what?" Michael says, looking directly at Jimmy. "I came here as your guest. I came here to have a conversation, not to be attacked by someone who clearly has some kind of personal problem with me." The audience starts murmuring. They're on Michael's side now. They can see that Jimmy is being completely unreasonable, but Jimmy doesn't care. He's lost control, and he's about to make it so much worse. Jimmy's eyes light up with this sick satisfaction. He can see that Michael is getting upset, and instead of backing down like any decent human being would do, he decides to push even harder. "Personal problem?" Jimmy repeats, pretending to be shocked. "Michael, I'm just asking the questions that everyone wants to know. Isn't that what good hosts do?" The audience is not buying it. You can hear some people actually booing now. They came here to see their favorite actor, not to watch him get bullied by some guy who thinks he's funny. Michael takes a deep breath. He's trying so hard to keep his cool, but Jimmy is making it impossible. No, Michael says firmly. Good hosts treat their guests with respect. They don't ambush them with lies and rumors. Jimmy leans forward, and his fake smile gets even more annoying. Lies and rumors? Jimmy says, acting all innocent. I'm just repeating what I've heard from very reliable sources in the industry. What sources? Michael demands. Name one person who told you I was difficult to work with. Jimmy waves his hand like the question doesn't matter. I can't reveal my sources, Jimmy says. That's journalism 101. This isn't journalism, Michael shoots back. This is you trying to make yourself look important by tearing down someone who's actually accomplished something. The crowd starts clapping. They're supporting Michael now, and Jimmy is starting to look like the villain he really islanded. But instead of realizing he's messed up, Jimmy doubles down. Accomplished? Jimmy says with a sneer. You mean like getting handed roles because of your pretty face? Michael's hands clench into fists. Any normal person would have walked off the stage by now, but Michael is trying to handle this like a professional. He's better than Jimmy deserves. I earned every role I've ever gotten, Michael says, and his voice is shaking with anger now. I auditioned just like everyone else. I worked with acting coaches. I studied the craft. But apparently none of that matters to you. Jimmy shrugs like he doesn't care about facts. Look, Jimmy says, I'm just saying what everyone in Hollywood is thinking. You're a model who got lucky, not an actor. That's the moment everything changes. Michael's face goes from angry to hurt to absolutely furious in about 2 seconds. The audience can see it happening, and they start getting louder with their support for him. You have no idea what you're talking about, Michael says. And now he's not even trying to hide how mad he islanded. I've been acting since I was 12 years old. I did soap operas, small movies, television shows that nobody watched. I worked for years before I got my first big break. Jimmy rolls his eyes like he's bored. Yeah, we've all heard the sob story, Jimmy says dismissively. Poor kid from the hood makes it big. Very touching. The audience gasps. Some people start shouting at Jimmy. He just crossed a line that nobody should cross. Making fun of where someone comes from? That's low. Even for him. Michael stands up straighter, and suddenly he looks less hurt and more dangerous. Excuse me? Michael says, and his voice is deadly quiet now. What did you just say? Jimmy realizes he might have gone too far, but he's too arrogant to admit it. I'm just saying. Jimmy stammers a little. These rags to riches stories are all the same. No, Michael says, taking a step closer to Jimmy's desk. You said, poor kid from the hood, like that's something to be ashamed of. Like where I come from makes me less than you. The studio is electric now. Everyone can feel that something big is about to happen. The cameras are capturing every second of this train wreck. Jimmy tries to backtrack. But it's too late. I didn't mean it like that, Jimmy says. But his voice sounds weak now. Yes, you did, Michael says. You absolutely meant it like that. You think because you sit behind this desk and tell jokes written by other people that you're better than me? Jimmy's face is getting red. He's losing control of his own show, and the whole world is watching. Now, wait just a minute, Jimmy says, trying to sound authoritative. This is my show. Your show? Michael laughs, but there's no humor in it. Your show where you invite people as guests and then attack them? Your show where you think it's okay to insult someone's background? The audience is on their feet now. They're cheering for Michael and booing Jimmy so loud you can barely hear anything else. Jimmy looks around frantically, probably hoping his producers will cut to commercial, but they're not helping him. I think you need to calm down, Jimmy says desperately. Calm down? Michael repeats. You spend 10 minutes insulting my work, my character, and where I come from, and now you want me to calm down? Jimmy looks around the studio like he's searching for backup that isn't coming. His writers, his producers, even his own security team are just standing there watching this disaster unfold. Nobody wants to help him because they all know he brought this on himself. Michael, Jimmy says, and now he sounds almost whiny. You're being way too sensitive about this. That's the worst thing he could have said. Calling someone sensitive when you've been attacking them for 15 minutes straight? Michael's eyes flash with pure anger. Sensitive? Michael says, and his voice carries across the entire studio. I'm being sensitive because I don't want to sit here and let you disrespect me and everyone who looks like me. The audience erupts. They're not just clapping anymore. They're shouting support for Michael. Some people are standing on their chairs. This isn't just about one bad interview anymore. This is about something much bigger. Jimmy realizes he's lost the room completely, but instead of apologizing like any decent person would do, he makes the biggest mistake of his career. "Oh, here we go," Jimmy says with this ugly smirk. "Now you're gonna make this about race?" The entire studio goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Even the cameras seem to stop moving. Everyone knows that Jimmy just said something unforgivable. Michael stares at him for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is calm again. But there's something terrifying about that calmness. "I didn't make this about race," Michael says slowly. "You did. The moment you decided to mock where I come from. The moment you decided that a successful black actor couldn't possibly have earned his success." Jimmy's face goes white. He finally realizes what he's done, but it's way too late to fix it. "I never said anything about race," Jimmy protests weakly. "You didn't have to," Michael replies. "Every word out of your mouth tonight has been dripping with the assumption that I don't deserve to be here, that I'm somehow less legitimate than other actors. Why do you think that is, Jimmy?" The question hangs in the air like a challenge. Jimmy opens his mouth to answer, but nothing comes out. He's been exposed, and everyone in that room knows it. "I'll tell you what I think," Michael continues. "I think you invited me here tonight specifically to try to tear me down. I think you planned this whole thing because seeing a young black man succeed makes you uncomfortable." "That's not true," Jimmy says desperately, but his voice cracks. "Isn't it?" Michael asks. "Because I've been watching your show for years, Jimmy. I've seen how you treat other guests. I've never seen you attack anyone the way you've attacked me tonight." The audience starts chanting Michael's name. The support is overwhelming. Jimmy looks around frantically, probably hoping someone will rescue him from this nightmare he created. "You know what the really sad part is?" Michael says. And now he sounds almost disappointed. "I actually used to respect you. I thought you were funny. I thought you were one of the good guys." Jimmy tries one last desperate move. "Michael, please," he says. "Let's just start over. We got off on the wrong foot." Michael shakes his head slowly. "No, Jimmy, we got off exactly where you wanted us to get off. You wanted to humiliate me on national television, and instead you humiliated yourself." He turns to face the audience, and they cheer even louder. "I want to thank all of you for seeing what really happened here tonight," Michael says to the crowd. "You saw someone try to tear down a guest for no reason other than their own insecurity, and you didn't stand for it." The applause is deafening now. People are on their feet, cheering and clapping like they just witnessed something historic. And maybe they did. Michael turns back to Jimmy one last time. "I came here as your guest," he says. "I came here with nothing but respect for you and your show. But you decided to use your platform to try to make me look bad. Well, congratulations, Jimmy. Mission accomplished. You definitely made someone look bad tonight." Jimmy tries to speak, but Michael holds up his hand. "I'm done," Michael says simply. "I'm not going to sit here and let you continue this circus. You want to finish this interview? Do it without me." He pulls off his microphone and drops it on the chair. The sound echoes through the silent studio. Then he walks toward the exit, and the audience gives him a standing ovation that seems to go on forever. Jimmy sits behind his desk, completely defeated. His show is in ruins. His reputation is destroyed, and it's all his own fault. The cameras keep rolling, capturing every second of his humiliation. As Michael reaches the exit, he turns back one more time. "By the way, Jimmy," he says with a slight smile, "I hope this was worth it." Then he's gone, leaving Jimmy alone with the wreckage of what used to be his career. The audience is still cheering